Coming up on this episode of DL Weekly, Mickey's ToonTown to get a massive overhaul. Holiday time has arrived at the resort. Merriest Nites information.
The holidays were flooded out, a pricey set of ears. We talked to an author and former cast member Bruce, and more. DL Weekly starts now.
Hello, everyone. Welcome aboard the DL Weekly podcast. Please lower your head and watch your step while boarding. If this is your first time listening, we hope you'll check out our website at DLWeekly.net. If you have more time to spend, becoming an official weekly tier at DLWeekly.net/support is an especially good value. Thanks for traveling with us today, and we hope you have a happy and memorable listen to this week's episode.
Hello and welcome to this episode of DL Weekly for the week of November 17th, 2021. I'm Teresa Urban.
And I'm Tag Bushman. We'd like to send a shout out and a big thank you for Chris L. for supporting the show. This support, of course, helps make DL Weekly possible. So weekly tiers in our supporter Discord chat are so amazing. There's always a lively discussion about Disney happening with tips, tricks, direct access to us daily, and more. If you'd like to become a weekly tier yourself and have some more Disney magic in your day, head on over to DLWeekly.net/support to sign up.
The holidays are quickly approaching, and we will be sending out postcards again this year to all of our supporters at every level. If you are currently a supporter on Patreon, please log in and make sure that your address is up to date so that you get your holiday card. If you would like to get a postcard from us, please head on over to DLWeekly.net/support to become an official weekly tier to get on the list.
Well, this Saturday is the DL Weekly Community Friendsgiving from 6 to 8 p.m. Disneyland time. If you'd like to take part in this fun event, all you need to do is be an official weekly tier. The event will take place on Zoom, but no video is required. The link for this event will be posted in the Discord chat as well as on Patreon. We hope to see a lot of you there.
It's that time again for our friend Eric over at Concierge to catch us up on other Disney news.
Hello, everyone. This is Eric Johnson with Concierge, and welcome to the D180. While Tech and Teresa cover all things Disneyland, in the D180 we take a spin around the rest of the Disney universe, and we do it in 180 seconds. Let's jump right in. We start our journey at Walt Disney World, where I swear I won't talk about the 50th anniversary. I mean, other than this mention. After this sentence right here, where I say that the 50th anniversary celebration continues all around Walt Disney World Resort, there's only going to be one more reference, I swear. The 50th lasts for 18 months, and that was the last sentence about it this week. Or is it? So anyway, we're at Walt Disney World. Over at Epcot, the International Festival of the Holidays is about to begin. Head to the festival park for live performances in Canada, France, Italy, and China. Some of our listeners might disagree with the order I just listed. If you don't know what I'm talking about, you need to get to Epcot right stat now. Talk to your doctor or concierge today if you have Epcot FOMO. Speaking of FOMO, if you have ever waited hours to get a good spot near the Candlelight Processional in Disneyland, you might be surprised to know that at Epcot this event happens over an entire month. Starting November 26th through December 30th, the park employs a rotating cast of actors, singers, and even Disney princesses to narrate this Christmas story. The American Adventure's resident choir, the Voices of Liberty, form a living Christmas tree on stage with a full orchestral accompaniment to complete this must-see holiday celebration. From sunny Orlando, we hop all the way down to one of the most remote locations on the planet. If you've ever wondered what lies past the end of the world, Adventures by Disney has you covered. One of Disney's newest globetrotting adventures is taking bookings now for departure on February 13th, 2023. Plan ahead and save $1,000 per person on your trip to Antarctica. The trip begins in Buenos Aires and takes you through lush forests and rugged mountains to the southernmost tip of South America. From there, you cruise south to the continent where few have ever traveled. View wildlife in glacial waters, where February is the best time to see whales around the ship. Take a couple of days to learn about the Antarctic climate and the efforts taken to keep the pristine continent clean and untouched. Once there, zip around in Zodiac boats, visiting penguin colonies and seeing glaciers up close. Take a kayak trip through the brisk waters of the seventh continent. It's 12 full days of adventure in one of the most beautiful and remote locations on Earth. If Antarctica is a little too remote for you, try one of the warmer adventures in the Bahamas with Disney Cruise Line. Disney is offering sales of 25 to 30% off right now for cruises around the Caribbean. Caribbean. This is a huge discount on trips starting November 19th through January 31st, 2022. If you need a winter warm-up, this is your chance. And that's... wait, I almost forgot. More about the 50th. Our friends at Celebration Press have an offer for you. They're printing out a second edition of their gorgeous book, 50 Years of Walt Disney World Magic. I have one of the first editions, and let me tell you, this book is packed with 208 pages of high-res pictures and delightful content about the Walt Disney World Resort. From its ambitious beginnings to the entertainment juggernaut of today, you will love this look at the most magical place on Earth. Head to celebrationspress.com and order your copy today. Thus ends our 50th anniversary celebration content for this week. And that's 180 seconds. I hope you enjoyed our quick spin around the rest of the Disney universe. If you would like to learn more about these Disney adventures or just have a few questions, please come on over. Visit the social media and websites of both DL Weekly and us, their official travel planners, concierges. We look forward to planning something special for you and your family. I'm Eric Johnson, and this has been your D180.
Now let's get to the news. Well, some major changes are coming to Mickey's ToonTown in 2023 with the opening of Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway. Josh D'Amaro announced at the IAAPA Theme Park Expo in Orlando that the land would close in March of 2022 to make the changes. The only confirmed information is that there will be a reimagining of the entrance to the land, adding a couple of green spaces for parents and children to relax and play together. The current ToonTown Park will expand into Centennial Park. It appears that the Jolly Trolley and tracks will be removed and replaced with a new fountain. The concept art also seems to show changes to Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin and possibly even another entrance to Galaxy's Edge.
Yeah, I feel like this has been a long time coming, and we had this hint. I really just felt, Disney doesn't let things look, how do I want to say this? ToonTown has been under a lot of scrutiny recently.
With all the new stuff coming out,
as in the past few years, because a lot of people are saying, it's just not looking as good as we expect for it to be looking.
Mm-hmm.
There's a lot of people complaining about the Toontown Hills and how that facade was fading and the paint wasn't looking so great, and just kind of all around. I, for one, when Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway was announced, was very excited that, yay, if you're going to have this brand new attraction, of course Toontown is going to get some TLC, which it desperately needed at that point.
Sure.
And it did. They did do some refresh. They did put new coats of paint on. Everything was looking grand. So it's interesting to me that it didn't just stop there. They're going to just reimagine a lot of the land. The concept art looks great. The big thing that I noticed, Tag kind of already mentioned this, is I don't think it looks to me like the Roger Rabbit fountain, which I actually really like that fountain. It looks to me like that fountain is probably going away. And I don't really see any very obvious hints that Roger Rabbit, the attraction, the cartoon spin, will still be there. That corner of the park is just kind of nondescript in this concept art. But the thing that is really exciting is there's going to be trees, there's going to be grass. It's not going to be this big open pavement land of the sun, hotter than hot area anymore. So I think this is great. The thing that I also really like about this, we hear this a lot from parents, that a really great place to take your kids to kind of get the energy out is Tom Sawyer Island, because they can just run and play and they can be kids. They don't have to worry about standing impatiently waiting their turn in line, anything like that. This area is going to be like a secondary Tom Sawyer Island, I think. You're going to be able to take your kids back there and they're going to be able to get that energy out and they're going to be able to play and they're going to be able to be interacting with more things. So I think that's going to help with, with kids and their energy. And it's also going to be a place where parents can kind of relax and just be okay with having their, your child can go running around because there's space there for them to do so. I think this is going to be a much needed great overhaul for this part of the park.
So I was surprised because I don't think anybody expected that we were going to get an announcement about this, although they have been making a lot of changes. Of course, there's this new path that our friends over at Fresh Baked have been talking about. They're trying to figure out. There's a section of the path that goes to Toontown that is on a different elevation and kind of looks different. He's been trying to guess what it's for, but we're not exactly sure what that's for. I don't know if that's for part of this or what. I'm sad because one thing that I really hoped would come back at some point is not, and that looks like they are getting rid of, according to the concept art, the Jolly Trolley. There are no tracks at all in this concept art. It looks like the Jolly Trolley and the tracks will be gone. Around the area where the Jolly Trolley is now, if you look at the concept art, is going to be this kind of fountain, and the park's going to extend out there. Now, another thing I noticed, you talked about the fountain over by Roger Rabbit being gone. Well, there's also a fountain over by Mickey and Minnie's house.
Yeah,
and if you look in the concept art, that is also gone. It is a tree.
Which, that one's kind of sad because that's a fun fountain. That's the one that has all the different
music.
instruments, and you could step on different things, and like you step on the tuba and it makes a tuba sound, that kind of thing. That was a fun sort of semi-interactive. It's not going to be as interactive as this new fountain is, but I was a little sad to see that fountain go. But
yeah,
I'm okay. Green space and trees, totally fine.
Also in this concept art, so you've got this new play area. The fountain looks kind of cool. It's got Mickey and Minnie kind of playing on it, and they're on a flower kind of thing. Who knows what it'll actually show, because this is just concept. Who knows? Concept art sometimes doesn't always look like what ends up being there. This kind of tree is kind of neat. They talked about how it's like the tree Walt sat under to learn stuff or whatever, which will be cool. We've always talked about wanting a play area to come back to ToonTown because there used to be a lot of that back there, and it just hasn't been. But I think like a park where kids can just run around and play, I think that's a really smart choice, because it's not that they are having to, maintain things that are high contact areas and stuff like that. The rest of ToonTown, I mean, they've added, at least in the concept art, they added a lot of real trees, which is beautiful. It looks like all the stuff in the back part of the land is pretty much the same. Although I did see Mice Chat was commenting that they thought it might be a tunnel to Batu. If you look back here, there is kind of this darkened area that looks like it could be a path. However, I am looking at the satellite view, and where this path would go does not
go
easily
to Batu.
connect to Batu without quite a long kind of way. I mean, I guess they could build it, but it is not that way right now. So who knows what that will become. But I'm glad that ToonTown is getting some TLC. I hope that this means that in the future, maybe Tomorrowland will get something after all of this.
Yes. It's interesting because this feels and seems like it's a pretty big project, but compared to Tomorrowland, maybe not quite as big, because poor Tomorrowland has the People Mover track, which is just it's all over the place. But it's not that easy though, because it goes in and out of different buildings, and it's just kind of snakes its way all around the place. So it's not very easy to just remove it. But the fact that they're going to be doing what appears to be a very large overhaul of ToonTown is to me, I think it does give some hope to Tomorrowland.
Sure.
Because if they're willing to put ToonTown, if they're willing to shut that down for quite some time to do this, maybe perhaps they'd be willing to do that again with Tomorrowland.
What do you think is the deal with Roger Rabbit, though? Because they were going through and modifying the storyline, so are they just doing that for now through March, and then they're just jettisoning the whole idea?
Yeah, that's what I was wondering, is if, what was going on with that. Because, they were changing the story, Jessica Rabbit was becoming a detective, and there was going to be a new storyline specifically for Jessica Rabbit. Mm-hmm. But, yeah, it seems interesting that they were really going for that. But then now, the concept art doesn't explicitly say that Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin is going away, but nothing in the concept art makes it obvious either that it's staying.
Yeah.
So, and really, of the rest of ToonTown, it was, Mickey and all of Mickey's friends. Mm-hmm. So poor Roger Rabbit was kind of a little bit of an outsider anyways, because he's not part of the Fab Five. He is still a Toon, obviously. Sure. So he couldn't, it makes sense for him to be in ToonTown, but I could see maybe they might be going a different direction there.
Yeah. Well, I'm excited to see what comes of it. And hopefully this doesn't turn into one of those situations like where they were redoing the front of Tomorrowland that still hasn't been finished.
Yeah. The thing that I'm really excited about in this concept art, we knew they were coming back, and there's evidence of it at the park. But right now, when you go to ToonTown, go now before they close it. When you go to ToonTown and look at the building for Mickey and Minnie's Runaway Railway, they actually took down the big oversized billboard that says, with Mickey and Minnie in construction gear, that says building. What building? They actually have taken that down, and you can see all of the framework for what's going to be the new ToonTown hills or mountains or whatever you want to call them. So I was excited to see that back, but now seeing it in this concept art, we will have the links to these in the show notes. Seeing it in the concept art, it looks so much cooler than what the hills had been before. This seems like looks like there's little roads you can see. I can see even there's like a little house or something off in the distance. It looks very cool. It's not just little hills anymore. It's going to be much, much more to it. So I don't know. I'm just really excited. Mm-hmm. Well, the holidays at the Disneyland Resort kicked off this past Friday. Along with some new offerings, this also marked the return of parades at Disneyland with the Christmas Fantasy Parade. Characters are dressed in their holiday bests, decorations are all over the parks, the return of Believe in Holiday Magic fireworks, and more. Over at Disney California Adventure, the Festival of the Holidays has returned. Disney Viva Navidad along with it, and so much more. For the complete list of offerings, visit the link in the show notes.
I don't know why. Maybe it's that I didn't see stuff from last year for Christmas, but all of the pictures and videos and everything I've seen about Main Street this year, it just looks so much more Christmas magical than it has in the past. And I don't know why. I'm sure it looks the same as it did before, but something about these decorations just really seem to be popping for me. Mm-hmm. And the fact that there's just, I feel like this is kind of marking the return to like normalcy because we've got the parade back, the holidays are back, you know. Halloween was pretty good, but I feel like, boom, coming back with Christmas, amazing. I watched some videos of and they had this in previous years too, but I watched videos of the moment of lighting the castle where they have like, it's like a 2.5 minute thing where the lights all come on for the castle and stuff. So neat. Fireworks, of course. These don't have just a projection version, so it's actually fireworks each of the nights. Very excited.
It just seems so merry and so magical. The thing that...
Why did you say so merry and bright? You could have just been all fancy.
I was trying to like Disneyfy it.
Oh, sure.
You know, like mesh the two together. Anyways, the thing that I am actually more excited about and wishing that I could go and experience is over in DCA, the Festival of the Holidays. So much entertainment they have with this festival. Mm-hmm. So much fun. I was watching several different people's Instagram stories over the weekend. The live entertainment, the dancers, the bands, they kind of have little mini parades.
Sure.
It looks like the place to be. And in fact, we talked with Bruce. We'll talk about this later. We were talking about how one thing that Disneyland had previously when Bruce was working there back in like the 70s and early 80s was there was live music. We were talking about how cool it was and how that was just something extra that Disney brought. Well, guess what? Festival of the Holidays has all sorts of live music. There was a swing band that I was watching videos of. Mm-hmm. There was, like I said, a bunch of different dancers. So cool. So cool. Plus, the thing that's even more amazing about it is there's all sorts of different cultures and all sorts of different cultures and traditions that are all represented in this as well. Just such a cool thing.
Absolutely. I think they've done a really great job with it. I've never been I've been to Disneyland during the holidays, but not since they've done Festival of the Holidays. So the fact that it seems like it's interesting because they've got the holiday time at the resort, right? And there's all the decorations and characters and everything in both parks. And then it seems like you've got this Festival of the Holidays is part like party atmosphere with stuff, but also like food booths, like a food and wine festival. Like it's just everything all at one time. Mm-hmm. It's just crazy.
I was reading that, at the 1 p.m. park hop thing, there's actually more people heading into DCA than out of DCA. Because, right, usually people tend to gravitate to Disneyland. But this, like you said, it's a wonderful blending of like parties / food. The Festival of the Holidays is bringing in a ton of people are heading to DCA just to experience it. And I can see why, because it looks like a ton of fun.
This is definitely like a good thing for DCA for sure. Well, last week was the first of the Merriest Nites holiday parties at Disneyland. The Disney Food blog was there and wrote up their experience. Main Street had the Victorian era party with some characters dressed as Scrooge and Ghost Marley from A Christmas Carol. The Muppets were caroling from the omnibus as it drove up and down Main Street as well. New Orleans Square had a Bayou-inspired celebration. Miguel was hosting a fiesta in Frontierland. Lilo and Stitch were having a tropical celebration in Adventureland. Elsa hosted a winter party in Fantasyland. And finally, Buzz Lightyear hosted an electronic party in Tomorrowland. I will tell you, the two things I saw the best reviews of were the Muppets on Main Street, which I watched and were amazing, and Buzz Lightyear was killing it in Tomorrowland.
That's what I was seeing too, and for some reason, I was very surprised because when they were announcing this and listing, describing what this was going to be, Buzz Lightyear personally, his dance party, it didn't seem like, I don't know, it didn't sound like it'd be that exciting. It just kind of felt like, they didn't know what to do in Tomorrowland, so this is kind of the little fluff that they're throwing together for Tomorrowland, which that's fine. However, the videos that I saw, Buzz has some dance moves, and then the cast members too. Everyone said it was such a good, fun time. But I 100%, if I could, I would go to this after hours party just for the Muppets. I think there is something incredible about seeing the omnibus drive by with the Muppets actually there. When do you actually you only get to see Muppets in movies?
Yep.
And like on TV, so you get to see them on the screen.
Yep.
Maybe you get to see them on the stage, but you can be, from me to you, away from the Muppets and their friend performers doing their thing. And who doesn't love the Muppets?
I thought the way that they did this with the omnibus and the way that it is set up to have the Muppets be able to be there is amazing. I thought that it was so cool to see the Muppets moving like Muppets are supposed to move and everything. I was like, this is the Muppets in Disneyland for this thing.
Yeah.
And you know what? I love the Muppets. I'm so glad to see that they're being utilized more in the parks, because I know that they've been used pretty well over in Florida, because there's a show in Liberty Square and stuff.
They kind of have their own little corner of that park.
But since Muppet Vision left, we really haven't had any Muppet stuff. So it's nice that they're here for this. Hopefully they'll do more stuff like this in the future. I don't know what they would do it for, but hopefully they do something.
This is a really weird left field idea. What if they replaced Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin with something Muppet based?
But they're not tunes.
Oh, you're right. Never mind. I got excited because I don't know where else.
I like the idea
where you could put them in, and if the Roger Rabbit's cartoon spin is unfortunately not going to be there in the reimagined ToonTown, what could go in its place?
Couldn't you retheme? Okay, so Pirates Lair on Tom Sawyer Island, whatever. Couldn't you retheme it to be like Muppet Treasure Island put like Muppets over on Tom Sawyer Island, which would bring people to the island? I like that.
And the other cool thing I thought with this, again, kind of goes with the Muppets, was they had Scrooge, like Ebenezer Scrooge.
Oh, yeah. And
they had the Ghost of Jacob Marley photo op. So they had Donald and Goofy dressed up as these characters. And there's something, I don't know why, but so Donald, I'm sorry, you look great, but Goofy as the ghost of Jacob
really cool.
Marley is so cool. I love the fabric of his outfit, but the fact that he's got this, like, all of Goofy has this like blue eerie color.
He looks like a hitchhiking ghost almost.
I think it's so cool. Goofy went all out. They didn't just kind of like, here, we're just going to do a little this, do a little that. Oh, poof, you're the ghost of... No, he looks great. Yeah,
I think it's super cool.
And unexpected. I was not expecting to see this. So I thought that was super, super cool.
You could put the Muppets, somehow you could put the Muppets, maybe, I don't know, this might cheapen it. You could put the Muppets as an opening act to Abe Lincoln in the Opera House, because they have the Muppets doing the history, because you got Sam Eagle and stuff doing that in Liberty Square.
Yeah, I wouldn't put them there. The Muppets need a home in Disneyland somewhere, or DCA, but I just don't know where exactly. Of course, with the Merriest Nites celebration, there was some new merchandise exclusive to the event. This year, they put the merchandise behind a mobile waitlist system. Once guests entered the mobile waitlist, they were notified when it was their turn to go to Star Wars Launch Bay to look at the items on sale. The items included a tumbler for $34.99, a pin $17.99, a magnet for $14.99, an ornament for $19.99, and an iPhone case for $34.99. The artwork includes all 6 character hosts from the event, as well as Mickey and Minnie in holiday caroling outfits. There were also 2 Merriest Nites tees, a red version with the hosts and the castle, and a white version with Mickey and Minnie in their caroling outfits.
So quite a bit of stuff. I think it's interesting that they tried to do something different with having like a wait list kind of situation. So not everybody was just rushing to get to the area. So that's kind of cool. I did find that like somebody was complaining that that they weren't like notified about it really beforehand.
That's the one thing that I've heard too, is that this wasn't very well communicated, that this is where the event specific merch was located, and this was how you had to go about to get it. So I can see how that would maybe be frustrating. It's too bad with these events that they did this really well at Oogie Boogie Bash, where they had multiple carts and multiple places to get this stuff. So it wasn't like one place, everybody's lined up. Everybody at the party, of course, wants this merch for that specific party. So everybody's going to be in the same line. It's too bad they can't kind of sprinkle it around a little bit more so that it's easier to get to, and you're not spending, because that would be me. I wouldn't want to be spending a ton of time waiting in the merchandise line and wasting valuable party time.
Absolutely. This Merriest Nites, this red shirt is pretty nice.
Yeah, I like that red shirt. I also like the ornament.
I do have a complaint, and this isn't specific to this merchandise, but in general, because I saw it in the picture. The D-Tech phone cases. When we were there, I would love to get a D-Tech phone case. The problem is they always have them for like the older phones, but not the newer phones. And I feel like that's a miss for Disney. So I wish you could get the new phone case sizes out sooner. Well, one of the flagship items for the first of the Merriest Nites events didn't go as planned. It's a Small World was planned to debut the holiday overlay version, but was unable to open because of flooding. The transformation to the holiday version was complete, and the refilling of the flume was underway when there was a small flood, which resulted in shorting out some electrical equipment. Until that equipment can be replaced or repaired, It's a Small World will remain closed. However, the outside lights still work, the projections are still there.
This makes me so sad. The whole reason, right, that it was a big deal because this was going to be open for the people there the first night of the Merriest Nites. It also was supposed to be open for the kickoff of the official holiday season at the resort. So it just makes me so sad that this happened. No details, of course, as to exactly what it was or how it was that the leak happened when they were refilling it, but thankfully none of the sets themselves were damaged. It does sound like it was mostly just electrical, so hopefully this is something that they can get fixed fairly quickly, because it would be terrible, especially if they spent all of that time getting the attraction ready for them to not be able to open it for the holiday season. So hoping for a fast recovery for Small World.
I'm also glad that none of the characters stuff were damaged, because I feel like that's kind of like a piece of history. And I know they could rebuild stuff, but it just wouldn't be quite the same. Although when I first told you this happened, you were like, "Oh, good, so it's flooded like it should be."
Yes, I was. I jokingly said, because I really like Walt Disney World's, how it's you feel like you're in like a lake, or kind of like when you're on Pirates, where it's just the whole
you're not in a trough. It's everything.
Yeah, the trough takes it away for me a little bit. I do remind myself but this is what it was like for the World's Fair. Yeah, we're paying homage to what it used to be. So just get over yourself, Teresa. don't look at the side, and don't make it obvious to yourself that you're in like a trough, like you said. But yeah, hopefully, fingers and toes crossed, this will be up and running again soon. The new Disney movie Encanto doesn't come out for over a week, but guests can already meet the main character in the parks. Mirabel can be seen as part of the Viva Navidad celebration in the Paradise Garden area of Disney California Adventure. The movie Encanto comes to theaters on November 24th.
So I didn't know anything about this movie, and I finally saw a trailer for it, and I was like, oh, this could kind of be cool, because I had no idea what the heck it was going to be about.
So what did you think?
I haven't seen it, but I mean, I've seen the trailer. It looks good. I'm interested to see. I'm interested to see it. I think it's amazing that before the movie even comes out, that the character's in the park. But I think it fits perfectly with the Viva Navidad celebration. So very happy. I feel like Disney. I've complained a lot about Disney with a lot of things recently, but I will say something. It seems like they're doing an amazing job, and I think a couple stories from now also proves this. Their synergy is coming back, where they're putting stuff in the parks when it's like close to when it's happening in like their movies and everything. And I feel like that's been missing for a while.
Well, and this one's even better because, right, the synergy's been there. We saw it with a lot of things, especially for Disney Plus, with Marvel specifically, Loki, that kind of stuff. What if episodes. But the thing with all of that was those characters appeared after the episode had aired, or those characters appeared after the movie had released. I'm talking about like Anna and Elsa from Frozen 2. But so this to me is so exciting because it's before the movie is coming out. And so it's kind of goes back to the time that you were talking about, like where they'd have these parades promoting things, the Lion King parade, that sort of thing. They would have these things come out to get people excited for the upcoming release, for the upcoming movie. Yep. So very excited that they're trending back towards that way.
We are live streaming into our Discord chat, and I wanted to point out that Stephanie just said that we now need Luca and Alberto, and I totally agree.
We do. We did have Machiavelli.
That's true.
That was pretty exciting, even though that was really just a photo op.
Did you
Still
watch?
Very exciting.
Did you watch the new Alberto?
I did. Ciao, Alberto.
Yeah.
I did. I was really looking forward to it. I didn't like it as much as I was. I think I hyped it up too much in my head.
I liked it.
I thought it was very sweet, very heartwarming, but it wasn't quite what I was expecting.
Sure. I liked it a lot. My disappointment was I was so excited for the Olaf shorts. And I was like, I woke up Friday morning and I was like, the Olaf shorts. And I went and I watched them. And like 15 minutes later, I was done and I felt empty inside. Because I was like, I was so excited for this to come and it went so fast.
Yeah.
And then I thought there was an extra episode, but all it was the one from the movie and them stitched together. And I was like, no. But I will say, spoiler.
Don't tell me I haven't watched all of them yet. I'm pacing myself.
Have you watched Lion King?
No. I've watched 2. I'm trying to pace myself.
Which ones have you watched?
I watched The Little Mermaid.
Okay.
And Moana.
Okay, Moana. Hey. Moana, like, him as Hey was great. Like,
there was something I enjoyed the end where he
Rebecca
throws the rock at the snowman
like hits
guy.
it.
Yeah.
And it just...
I can't remember what the line was, but it's like here, like throws the rocket. Anyway,
so you're not going to be surprised by this. It's not spoiling anything. So the Lion King one, he turns, he goes, Mufasa's dead.
Oh, sure.
And I was like, but there's a second part to that joke that is way funnier.
I'm trying to remember what the thing was. Now I'm married and I have feet.
I didn't understand.
I remember what it was when he threw the rock. It was so funny.
James tried to
fell over.
Explain this to me, and I still don't get it. And you haven't seen it yet, so you'll have to explain to me once you watch it. The Tangled one, Olaf does this like face, and it's like this constant
the smolder?
Joke. Yes.
Have you not seen Tangled?
I've seen it a long time ago, but
that's
he kept
the problem.
Okay,
you've seen it a long time ago.
Because he like kept playing on this smolder face, and I'm like, I don't get this joke.
So, why can't I remember his name?
Flynn
Rider. He does it. It's kind of like puppy dog eyes, but it's supposed to be like his smolder, sexy man face, and he's like getting away with stuff, but it doesn't work. So he kind of keeps trying to. He's like trying to. There's the smolder, and it's like this ridiculous, weird him trying to be like weasel his way into getting what he wants, kind of thing. It's like puppy dog eyes, I guess, would be the best way I can.
But like. This is what it ends up in the thing, and I'm like, what is this? I don't understand.
Yeah.
Anyway.
That's the best way I can describe it.
But he kept like going to it, and he was like, smolder. And I'm like, I don't remember
You're
this
going to have
all.
to watch Tangled again.
I will, but they were great. I just want more of them. And I heard I think they announced like a season 2 or something, so I think they're going to do more of these. I want them to do every Disney movie. I want them to even do live action. I want them to do like Mary Poppins.
I want all of them.
Weekly tiers have been raving about a new dessert available at Café Orleans in New Orleans Square. The hot cocoa creme brulee comes with a side of sugar cookies and is a must-try for chocolate lovers. The Disney food blog describes the dessert as a mix between pudding and custard, with a layer of toasted sugar on top, topped with homemade whipped cream and marshmallows. The dessert is available through the holiday season for $10.
I can't. This sounds and looks so good. In fact, one of the weekly tiers that had it this past weekend rated it 10 out of 10, and that they would be dreaming of this dessert. It's not one of those things that I don't even remember this being on the list. Maybe it was. That list was very overwhelming, the foodie guide. Maybe it was on
No,
the
it
list.
was
but
on there. I remember
was
seeing it.
I don't quite remember. Maybe
Because I always like creme brulee. It's almost like a macaron, like if I see
Sure.
one. Except for ever since I went on a cruise and I got the creme brulee and the other dessert was better, I always kind of feel like I don't want to get the creme brulee because I was burned the one time.
Sure.
But I feel like this would be a good one.
I just think it would be so... What a fun, different, like, mashup for desserts, right? Like, we get all sorts of different
Sure.
churros, all sorts of different macarons. So how fun to, like, make a holiday twist on a different beloved dessert.
Plus, this is so random.
Oh, boy.
So I've been watching with our 2 exchange students. There's a TV show. We finished it. There's a new season coming out on Netflix soon called Emily in Paris.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Have you watched it?
Yeah.
What did you think about the designer guy cracking creme brulees to like a stress reliever?
Yeah.
Anyway.
Oogie Boogie has moved out of the Grand Californian Hotel and Spa's lobby for this year, and in his place is a large gingerbread house for the holidays. The gingerbread house will look like the hotel itself. The snack cart is next to the display, selling sweets and some beverages.
They bring this kind of thing every year.
I love these things. It's something. This is what makes Disney Disney. It is something they 100% do not need to do, but they do it anyways because it is just... That's what makes them Disney. And especially like this. You don't even have to purchase a park ticket to be able to go enjoy and experience this baked goods creation and Marvel. You can just go visit it if you want.
Yeah.
I think that's so cool.
So the comment that I thought was funny from this was, it is being constructed before the Christmas tree is even up at the hotel.
Well, it takes a little bit more time.
Yeah, but I mean, Christmas trees are usually like the first thing to pop up.
I think, it's interesting to me because I feel like, I don't know. I feel like every other time that I've seen this, I haven't seen it in such beginning stages as it is now. So I thought it was really cool. Thanks to Mice Chat for having and sharing this photo of it in its beginning stages. Because if I was a local, I would like pop in there every couple of days just to watch the progress because I think that would be so cool. We don't get to experience that with, say, the other big gingerbread house in the Disneyland Resort, the one that, resides in the Haunted Mansion.
Sure.
It just, poof, there it is. We don't get to see, the building of it. So I think that's really cool.
It also probably smells really good in that lobby.
I would definitely buy gingerbread from the Grand Californian lobby just because of the smell in there for sure.
Friday, November 12th was Disney Plus Day around the entire Walt Disney Company. The celebration lasted through the weekend at the parks with the blue carpet greeting for guests at Disneyland on Friday. All of the park icons were lit up in Disney Plus blue for the occasion. Special photo opportunities were around the parks as well. On Disney Plus itself, a lot of new shows and movies debuted, along with announcements of future shows like Agatha House of Harkness, Marvel Zombies, and Echo. For all the new Marvel stuff coming to the service, be sure to watch the preview on Disney Plus or on YouTube. We'll have the link in our show notes.
They went all out for Disney Plus Day. I, for some reason, was not expecting it to be this grand, but when photos of the blue carpet first appeared,
what the heck?
I was shocked. I immediately took screenshots, threw them in Discord. I was like, look at this. The blue carpet, everyone, was it.
The entire
It was the
entrance.
entire entrance area. It was basically from like the turnstiles to the train station.
Yep.
Massive, massive, massive blue carpet. Something simple and something that probably did not, cost or take very long for them to do. But I did really like the touch, and I thought it was very fun that they lit up different park icons and different Disney icons in blue. Super cool. Plus tons and tons of different characters that were out those days. So a lot of people got some cool photo ops. There were also giving away Disney Plus buttons at the turnstiles, and it did seem there was a limited supply of hats and like bucket hats. I think like baseball caps and bucket hats I saw people have. So I thought that was, again, not something that they needed to do, but just a fun little extra.
I remember missing out on those hats at because we didn't go see the Disney Plus thing at D23, and they gave out all that stuff too.
You know what we did get, though, that I was reminded of this weekend? Because
a pin?
Over this weekend, I made myself a new pin display. And as I was putting all my pins on there, you and I both got charter member pins from when we signed up for Disney Plus. I mean, we signed up for Disney Plus. I think the only thing at that point that anybody knew that was coming to Disney Plus was the Imagineering story hadn't even been announced yet. It was Lady and the Tramp, the live action Lady and the Tramp, and The Mandalorian. Those were the only real things that we knew about Disney Plus when we signed up. So was a pretty good investment on our part. A little blind. We didn't quite know what we were getting into.
We're coming up on our renewal time.
Oh my gosh, you're right.
It's almost been 3 years.
Yeah. Wow. Anyways, very cool. I still I can't get over the amount of carpet that they had out there.
Yeah.
I thought there'd be like, I don't know, a thin little carpet. I don't know.
I didn't even think there'd be a carpet. I literally thought, like, I thought they were just using that as like a euphemism. Like everything's going to be. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. I get it. Well, with the replacement of the photo supply store at the end of Main Street and transforming it into the Plaza Holiday Shop, it left us wondering what's happening to Kingswell Camera Shop on Buena Vista Street. Well, it has been transformed into Kingswell Shop, dropping the camera name and expanding the retail space to make it a little more open for guests to move around and for more merchandise to be out on display. This was always a fun little area because, like, it was kind of like the Main Street counterpart, the photo supply store.
Yeah.
It was kind of just, it was, yes, connected to the whole big long string of all sorts of other things, but also still a little bit offset. I liked the Kingswell Camera Shop because it was just this quiet, it was this little quiet bubble in the like hustle and bustle that was the stores. There was an AP counter back there too, so you get AP specific merchandise back there, but all in all, I think it's a good use of the space.
It's interesting to me because when I think of Buena Vista Street, I don't think of a lot of the shops on that side of the street. I think of the food places, and I think of like Elias and Company and everything on the other side because that's like their emporium. Where I feel like the other side of the street, the only time I can ever remember ever going in that shop was when you got your Oogie Boogie pin there.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I had never been in there.
Really? Mm-mm. Oh, I like going over there.
Yeah, I've been in the toy shop, but I never make it like further down. I don't know why. Well, the Fantasyland Theater sign that was behind Scrims for the past couple of weeks has been completed. Nothing new to report except for a completely refreshed sign. Hopefully this means that some entertainment will be returning to this location soon.
It looks very nice. Again, nothing, it's not like they tore down the old sign and put up a brand new one. But the detail, I just always have liked this sign. I don't remember the details being as vibrant. There's like different like flowers and like vines that they've painted on there.
What's interesting to me is I think when they first put up this sign, it was when they did the Snow White show in there.
Oh, sure.
For the 60th maybe or before that. No, I can't remember all my dates, but there was a Snow White show in there that I remember watching. No, because the 60th, there was the magical map in there. But anyway. But I'm glad to see that they've done something to it, and I'm excited that hopefully something will come back there soon.
The Wookiee celebration from Star Wars, known as Life Day, has come to Batuu again. This year, there are a few special food options to enjoy from a galaxy far, far away. There is a potato hand pie and a black sesame macaron at Kat Saka's Kettle, and a new Tarkinian night flower drink at Oga's, and pork broth noodles at Docking Bay 7. No word on how long these dishes will stick around, so get them all you can.
I will tell you, I looked at these things, and first of all, the macaron, the black sesame macaron looks interesting. Whatever.
Does it remind you? It reminds me of the goo. The decorations that they have on top, it reminds me of
different
the goo.
Universe, Teresa.
I know, in Avengers Campus.
Yeah. The pork belly skewer thing looks really good, but the thing that I was mouth-watering, also the Tarkinian night flower looked good, but the thing that was making my mouth water was this pork broth noodles, because I love pesto, and there's like some pesto in there, and reading the Disney Food Blog's review of it, they said that the noodle, it was amazing. They really liked it. Their only complaint was that the pork was a little overcooked, but everything else was amazing about it. And there's something when I was writing this article today, I was looking at it and I said, man, if I could teleport there and have this right now, I would. I'm very excited for this.
See, now that was probably the thing that looked the least appealing to me.
Really? Interesting.
The thing I was most excited about was the potato ham pie that's tiki masala spiced, and it's served with a mint cilantro yogurt sauce. I don't know why, but that looks super delicious to me. The macaron I think is very pretty to look at. I like the splatterings of the bright blues, golds, and the purples, but I'm not sure about the flavor combination. And the other thing that I was very excited about, which is the Tarkinian night flower. I'm not even a fan of gin, but
That flower looks so cool.
It looks really, really good. The night flower drink is a blend of gin and elderflower liqueur with flavors of ginger and huckleberry, and then garnished with a sweet hibiscus flower. It almost looks like a candied flower.
It does. It looks amazing.
So I've seen kind of mixed reports here. We don't know 100%. I did hear that these will be around for a little bit, kind of like around for the holiday season type thing. But I haven't seen anything official. So if these are things that you are wanting to try, like Tag said, try and get back to Batu as soon as you can.
If somebody tries the pork broth noodles, send us an email, feedback@dlweekly.net, and let us know what you think, because I'm curious. Some of the most expensive mini ears have gone on sale. Designer Vera Wang's take on the designer collection ears are on sale now at the resort and on shopdisney.com. I will tell you that Shop Disney is already sold out. Guests should get ready to open their wallets wide with this pair. It's priced at $600. The Disney Parks blog describes them as designed with elevated fabrics such as black velvet ears and organza. The headband is topped off with a large white silk bow, true to Wang's classic style. Pronged crystals are hand sewn on the front and back with exquisite, intricate beading, and it comes with a detachable fingertip length veil and comb. Would you pay $600 for any set of ears?
No. I was even thinking, how can I maybe justify, instead of buying a regular veil from, say, a bridal boutique, maybe I could, but $600 is so much more expensive than like a bridal veil would be. But, reading the description, they are very fancy looking. And the fact that they're hand sewn, $600 still feels very steep to me, especially when I think of all of the other ears. How many other ears could I buy with that $600? And the other thing, too, that I would be terrified to do anything with these ears. I definitely wouldn't be wearing them in the park. I would be sad if I dropped them, let alone lost them. But when we checked Shop Disney earlier today, they were already sold out. So there is a market for them. The other thing, too, though, just because they sold out on Shop Disney, I can't imagine they produced very many of these ears. There may have only, it's probably a very limited item since they are very, very detailed, and it sounds labor intensive to make them.
They've already removed them from the Shop Disney website, so go figure. Can't even click the link that you showed me earlier that had them.
I'm trying to think, prior to this, what was the most expensive set of ears? In the designer ear collection.
Wasn't it like a couple $100 maybe?
Maybe, but yeah, $600 is definitely significantly higher than what the rest of the collection was.
Sure.
Disney has come to an agreement with the Master Services Council, who represents cast members at the resort, on updated pay and benefits. Disney stated that the agreement included healthcare coverage options as low as $7 a week for full-time cast members, as well as providing eligible hourly cast with access to childcare support and Disney Aspire, an educational program offering free tuition. Voting on this takes place on Wednesday, November 17th.
So healthcare coverage as low as $7 sounds pretty good.
That's amazing. I just had to sign up for benefits at work. Let me tell you, it is not as low as $7 a week.
And
that's
access,
a great deal.
One of the big things has been access to childcare, because that can be very expensive too. And then the Disney Aspire thing, which we've talked about on the podcast before. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good selection there. I think this is in combination with what we talked about. I think it's going to be $17 an hour.
Sure.
6 months earlier than they expected, that kind of thing. So good. I'm glad that they were able to come to an agreement. I figure, Disney has to. They can't just not have cast members.
Oh, yeah.
So they have to come to some type of agreement. So hopefully that when this gets voted on in a couple days here, the day the podcast goes live, hopefully it'll be approved and everybody can at least be satisfied with some part of it.
No, I thought that these were, not being a cast member myself and not being somebody that lives in Southern California, obviously, my lens of this is much different. But when I first read this and saw that they were including, very low healthcare coverage options, as low as $7 a week, that's $14 a paycheck. I think I just signed up for the lowest option at my work, and it's like $70 a paycheck. So that's huge. And then the other thing too, again, I also don't have a child, but, having access to childcare support, that's huge too, because sometimes I've had it in my line of work where people actually, it makes more sense for them financially for someone to be a stay-at-home parent than it is to pay for childcare costs, because childcare is
outrageous,
is crazy expensive. So the fact that these two that they're able to offer these two things to help kind of, even if you're not offering $30 an hour, it is nice because their take-home pay is not impacted quite
Sure.
as much by helping take these things kind of off the table and assisting with this. So anyways, I was not expecting this. I was kind of expecting them to come back with, different dollar amounts for the hour.
Yeah.
So this was very cool. But yes, I agree. I hope that I'm glad that we can, that they're coming, that the union and Disney are coming to some sort of an agreement. We'll see how the voting takes place, but it sounds pretty good.
Yeah.
Psst, avast there. It'd be too late to alter course, mateys. And there be trivia questions lurking in every cove, waiting to be answered. Listen close and keep your ruddy Disney knowledge handy. That be the best way to answer correctly. And mark well me words, mateys. Dead men tell no tales. You come seeking questions and long-lost Disney information, eh? Sure, you come to the proper place, but keep a weather eye open, mates, and hold on tight, with both hands, if you please. There be squalls ahead, and James and Vern waiting for them what don't answer correctly.
Welcome to Trivia Land, where tonight we are going to have 4 listener-submitted questions and 1 bonus question. Are you feeling ready? You think you got what it takes?
I hope so.
We'll see what happens.
All right. Well, to be honest, I think tonight's going to be pretty good for you.
Oh, good.
I think I'm looking at the questions, and you have a chance. You're going to be okay tonight.
Every time you guys think that, we don't do very well, so we'll see.
Well, all right, valid point. But let's get started. Our first listener-submitted question from listener Liberty M. The Tomorrowland stage lasted from 1967 to 1977. What was the name of the show held there every Sunday night?
Oh, the show that was held there.
The show that was held there.
I have the
Kids of the Kingdom or something, wasn't it?
I have the date night at Disneyland song stuck in my head.
I'm
now.
going to say Kids of the Kingdom. But I think that maybe was the group that was
Sundays?
there. I'm probably wrong.
I don't know. I just have the date night at Disneyland song stuck. I have
But
no
that
idea.
wasn't even in Tomorrowland. That was at the Carnation Plaza.
But I know that they have like it was wasn't it like you could go dance?
Yeah, but not in Tomorrowland.
No, but I mean,
Yeah.
I thought at the Tomorrowland thing.
Yeah.
you
No,
could
this
go
was the
and
Carnation
dance.
Gardens where the Princess
Oh,
Fantasy Fair is now.
yes. But no, I mean, I thought that the thing, the band at Tomorrowland, you could also dance.
Oh, yeah.
It was also a dance thing, not like the date night, because that was probably the 60s is when that was going on. 60s, early 70s. I don't know. I'm stumped. So you're going to say Kids of the Kingdom?
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know what it was called.
All right.
Sunday night soiree. Because what was the question? I got myself distracted.
What was the name of the show?
What was the name of the show held every Sunday night at the Tomorrowland stage from 1967 to 1977?
I have no idea. I'm going to say Sunday night soiree because I have no clue.
Okay.
Your second question, submitted by listener Ruben O. With regards to the entire Disneyland resort itself, what is the significance of the number 1313 or 1313?
The
The address. And some people say it means Mickey Mouse because the 13th letter of the alphabet is M.
AA or AAMM.
Yep. Some people think that it was like Walt's lucky
favorite
number,
number.
so 1313. What's funny is the address of Disneyland is 1313 Harbor and 1313 Ball, and I've also seen it as 1313 Disneyland Way or whatever. So I'm like, apparently it's 1313 on all four sides
all
or
of the
something.
sides.
I have never seen Catella, but all the other ones I've heard.
There you go. But yeah, it's the address to the resort.
Are those your final answers?
Yeah.
Those are the final answers.
Okay. Your third question, submitted by listener Matthew H. Which attraction gives the safety spiel in the most languages?
In the most
Oh.
languages. Can we get a hint if it's Disneyland or DCA?
It is in Disneyland.
And it's an attraction?
It is an attraction.
Because the only thing I can think of that gives like tons of different things is like before Fantasmic, because they have it in like the announcement before the show in like Japanese and everything else. You've never heard that?
No, I have not.
Oh, yeah. I'll have to find it somewhere for you. I'm going to say It's a Small World. Seems like it would be appropriate.
But you said the safety spiel?
Which attraction gives the safety spiel in the most languages?
I'm going to say It's a Small World.
That would be very appropriate.
Is that your final answer, Teresa?
I haven't had... What answer?
Well, I'm sorry. Are you just... were you agreeing or...
No, I'm not agreeing. I'm thinking.
Sorry.
We need to introduce a timer to this segment of the show.
Well, I'm just going to go with my gut. The first thing I thought of was the monorail or the Matterhorn.
Well, the Matterhorn only has the remain seated, please. Permanecer sentados, por favor.
Maybe, you know what? The train. I'm going to say the train.
Hmm.
I'm going to just switch it up.
Sure.
Final answer, the train?
Final answer, the train.
Okay. And your fourth and final listener-submitted question from listener Chris M. The last postcard on the way out of It's a Small World has a message on it. Finish this message. Having fun today, comma, blank, 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 blank.
Oh my gosh. I just remember all the little adios, ciao.
At Disneyland USA.
Having fun. Yes. Yes.
Is that your final answer?
Yes.
From both of you?
Yes.
And your bonus question for tonight. From what queue are you in? You remember the rules on this one, yes?
Yes.
All right. Your first hint, from what queue are you in? And from newer listeners who might not be aware of the rules on this, they get 4 hints for what queue are they in. If they get it on the first 2 hints, they get a full credit for getting the right answer. If they get it on all 4 hints, or 3 or 4 hints, they get half credit for the correct answer. So, your first hint. You can see Tom Sawyer Island.
Well, that's like a bunch of things.
Your second hint. You can hear jazz music. I'll give you a second.
I'm going to lock in at Haunted Mansion.
You're locking in.
Mm-hmm.
I will lock in at Pirates. I mean, technically, maybe the train too, but I'll lock in at Pirates. All right. Third hint of we're locked in, but what are the
All
other
right.
hints?
Your third hint. You're approaching an old building.
Yes. Oh no, my building's
And the
not
fourth
old.
and final hint. One of you is about to be upset, and one of you is about to give yourself a high
It's
five.
going to be you.
There's a squawking parrot.
Good job.
Good work, Ted.
It's old building. I wouldn't say either of them are very old looking.
Yeah, that's okay.
See, I would argue.
But we don't know for sure. But
I wouldn't think you'd be able to see
Wow.
the island or hear the music because
You don't know for certain yet.
that's true.
No.
Listeners, how do you think they did? How did you do listening at home? Stay tuned until after the discussion topic, and we'll all find out.
Well, you know what it is. It's going to be the Enchanted Tiki Room somehow. There's a hidden mirror up in the thing, and you can see Tom Sawyer Island through it.
Hey, you have no idea what I was looking at while I was in those queues.
That's
true.
That's true. Well, this week for our discussion topic, we are having on another former cast member, and this one, he's a little different than the other ones. So please welcome to the show author and former magic shop magician, Bruce Edwards, to the show. Welcome.
Well, thanks for having me. Good to see you too. And welcome from Anaheim, by the way.
Oh,
Ooh.
even more
Yeah.
exciting.
Yeah.
So
Actually, I'm not in Anaheim. I'm in Brea, which is next to Anaheim.
Close
but,
enough.
Disneyland is like 15 minutes away from here.
I was like, you could,
Perfect.
on a good day, you could smell the churro wafting.
Yes. Yes. Well, we do hear the fireworks at night, so you can't escape that, I'm afraid.
Yeah, no, I love fireworks, so I think I'd be pretty. My dog, on the other hand, would not be happy about that. But
And by the way, for anyone that was at Disneyland today or wish they had been there, It was 92 degrees today.
Ooh, isn't that crazy?
Yes. I suspect it's not quite that warm in Wisconsin.
No.
It is 39 degrees right now.
Yeah.
It was our coldest day
okay.
so far of the fall time. So
Well, it's going to be 95 tomorrow for people that are planning a trip to Disney.
for the kickoff of
I was
the
gonna
holiday
say,
season at Disneyland,
What
it's
a way
95.
to kick off the holidays, yes.
Isn't that crazy?
I don't
That's
think
the
they're
way
going
it
to
is.
sell out of the sweaters too
No.
quickly this year.
No. So we'll start off like we do with everybody. So tell us your Disney story. What got you interested in Disney or Disneyland? Just kind of what brought you to where you are today.
Well, it's interesting. The book that is out now about my experience working in the Main Street Magic Shop really was a project that was going to be about only that. But while I was doing my research, I realized that there was all these connections between, where I was. This is in the 1970s, by the way. This is not present day. This goes back quite a few years. But prior to that, there was Walt Disney was influencing my life since I was like 2 years old. I think I traced it back that far. There's always been this, one of these days I'd like to work at Disneyland type of thing. And I don't think there's anyone that's ever been to Disneyland that doesn't think what a great place this would be to work. You go in there and people are having a good time and you're having a good time. And you get to go there maybe once every few years. And these guys get to come every day. This must be great. So that kind of followed me throughout my whole life. And then later on, it really wasn't a priority for me until I got into a situation where I needed a job and I just happened to be living in Anaheim. I just happened to be here and I thought, well, you know what? Disneyland's right in my backyard. I think I should look into this. And that's really where it all started. I applied for a job there and was accepted, and I was put on Main Street. And that's really my story leading up to how I came to work there. In 1977, I was hired to work at Disneyland. But that was all I ever wanted. Since I first came there as a 6-year-old, I dreamed of working at the happiest place on earth. I imagined steering that paddle wheel steamer down the rivers of America, or piloting one of those futuristic monorails. So, where did they assign me? Main Street? Yes, I was quite thrilled, serving pickles at the market house and selling flash cubes in the camera shop. Then I discovered this place, the Main Street Magic Shop. Before long, I was performing magic, taught by the best in the business. And don't forget, it was also a joke shop. But behind the scenes, stranger things were happening. So if you think you've learned everything there is to know about Disneyland, prepare to be pleasantly surprised.
So when you visit Disneyland today, or not specifically today, but now, when you're visiting Disneyland now,
today.
Is there a specific way you like to go? Like when you go in and you get to the hub, do you like to go towards Adventureland, towards Fantasyland? Do you have a plan of attack for the park, really?
You know what? Well, it varies. When you think back, there was always, and depending on how old you are, there's a different emphasis that depending on where you are at that time in your life. But I would say generally, I head left towards the Pirates of the Caribbean and the Haunted Mansion, and those are still classic rides to this day. And for me, those were the ones that, and I think it has a lot to do with and you think back the first time you went on those rides. It's just never leaves you.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
So that's usually the first place that I would go is over to New Orleans Square.
Nice.
That's a good choice. That's a popular one. That's kind of where we usually go. We hit up Adventureland and kind of mosey that way most of the time.
Yeah.
So what is your favorite attraction of the park? So even though we are a Disneyland podcast, you can choose any attraction from any Disney park.
Yeah, and should I say the Main Street Magic Shop?
Hey, that's an attraction, right?
Yeah, well, it is. It is. I don't know, man. I think I still go back to the pirate ride.
Mm-hmm.
And I think the main reason is going in there. And one of the things that never ceases to blow me away is when you go into that scene where they're having the battle between the ship
Mm-hmm.
and the water and the guys firing their cannons on land. And you feel like you're outdoors.
Yeah.
Mhm.
And I distinctly remember the first time going on there and I go, it's supposed to be the afternoon. What happened? That still blows me away. And then you start thinking, how big is this ride? It looks
Right.
like you're going all over the county, and you're just going in a loop. But I think I nailed it. That's still, I think to this day, with all the new things and the new innovations, that's still my all-time favorite.
It's a good one.
It's, there's something, and it's weird, right? Haunted Mansion, same thing. There's just something about it that even though we're adults, we understand that it's not real. It still just takes you back. And I think that's why they're such a great classic attraction.
I would add one other to that. And this is a little odd, but something that affects me emotionally that I get moved by is going to see Mr. Lincoln.
Oh,
You
yes.
go to the day and maybe there's a dozen people. I mean, back in the day, they would fill
Mhm.
that theater with people. And you go in and you've seen it 100 times, but there's something about it, I don't know what it is. So that's one of those things. Actually, I talk about Mr. Lincoln in the book. There was, he and I had kind of a run-in, Mr. Lincoln. After the park had closed, there's an interesting story about that, which, well, if you've read it, then you know what I'm talking about.
Now
I'm intrigued.
I have been reading the book. I'm only about I don't know, halfway through. So I haven't gotten to the Lincoln story, but now that you've motivated me to read even faster, because now I have to know what that is. And obviously we won't give away too much of the book because we want people to go out and experience and read it for themselves.
Right. Well, generally this kind of goes along with all the kind of nonsense that went on for people that worked in the magic shop back then,
Mm-hmm.
because we got away with anything we wanted to do, with pranks, and we did magic, of course, but we how can I describe it? The shenanigans that we did, that we got away with because we were in the joke shop. We were permitted to do that type of thing. That was our stock and trade.
Mm-hmm.
Unlike the other locations on Main Street, you couldn't do that in the Candy Palace. Squirt people with ketchup in one of the restaurants, but we could.
Well, I mean, I guess
You just don't know where this is going to go.
No,
now,
I mean,
right?
this is all over the place. So when you kind of brought us up to getting hired in the Disney story. So what was back in the 70s when you did this? What was the kind of process for you to go in and get that? And where did you want to be? And what did you think about where you ended up being?
Yeah. Well, that's an interesting story because when you worked there back then, which I'm sure it's true today, they had what they called the Disneyland University. And that was where you went through orientation. It was a day-long process where they teach you all of the policy and the procedures and how and where to pick up your costume and, all the little details. And I wanted to work in operations, and most people did, to work on the rides, to be able to travel around on the train. That was really what I was looking at. And that's why when I finally got assigned to Main Street, it was a little disappointing, because look at it this way. When you think of Disneyland, Main Street is probably the last place you think of. And if someone's planning on going there, they'll think, oh man, there's Space Mountain and Thunder Mountain and all bobsleds on the Matterhorn, all these great things. But they don't say, I can't wait to see that Main Street.
Yeah.
It just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
And so when you're hired there, it's the same way. I want to do one of these really cool attractions. And so when you get assigned to Main Street, it's a bit of a disappointment. At least it was for me, unless you like that type of a thing.
I feel like
And-
Main Street's very popular in the morning and very popular in the evening, and then everyone kind of forgets about it during the day,
Right.
which is unfortunate because there are a lot of cool things that happen on Main Street during the day.
There are, but for me, what the turning point was where I started to enjoy myself was when I got to work in the magic shop.
Yeah.
And that's where because that place is not like any other shop on the street. For the reasons like I was stating earlier, that you could play pranks on people. But plus for me, I had been made my living as a musician prior to that.
Mm.
So I knew how to perform. I'd been before audiences, and but I knew nothing about magic. And here I was with all these guys. They're all like Magic Castle members. These guys
Wow.
were some of the best in the business.
Wow. Yeah.
And so I learned from them, and because the whole thing intrigued me. I wasn't really a fan of magic, but ultimately I myself became a Magic Castle member, and
Wow.
yeah, kind of. So that was the starting point for me. So all of a sudden, Main Street wasn't so bad.
Dang, that I did not know that. I have to admit, you have inspired me that I need to go hang out. I've spent a little bit of time in the magic shop, not a lot, but I feel like in how you describe it in the book, with just all the different details that they have up on the walls and just things, just the shop itself and the setup, I'm like, I've never noticed that. I need to go in there and pay attention to these things. And I honestly didn't even know that they did all sorts of magic and such. Now maybe they don't do it as much as they used to have done it, but I feel bad I've ignored the magic shop all these years. I need to go spend some quality time in there.
I feel like for me, the magic shop is kind of that. It's interesting because it's in between, like what's the shop like at the very end of the street? Not the clothier's shop, but it's another clothing shop, and then you kind of go through the magic shop to get to there's pins and music and stuff in the next room. And I feel like the magic shop room is just so tiny, and I feel like I don't spend a lot of time in there because every time I do walk in, there's 2 or 3 people standing at the counter with the cast member who's probably showing them a magic trick or showing them how one of the things works. And there's not really enough room to kind of squeeze in there and not be in the path where other people are just trying to get through. So I think that's why I haven't spent a lot of time in there. Is I always seem to pick the time when there's people in there learning about the tricks or watching. Yeah. And I never had a chance
maybe
to stop.
too that people just think it's another one of these Main Street shops.
That's
and they
true.
don't realize that it's totally separate from everything else on the street. It's completely unique. And, that's why I enjoyed being there as long as I did.
That's really interesting. I've never thought of the magic shop before with how you're describing it because, right, being a cast member on Main Street, you're selling things or you're stocking shelves or you're, that's just kind of what it is. It's not nearly as exciting. Whereas at the magic shop, you're performing.
Mm-hmm.
It's almost like you're a Jungle Cruise skipper of the magic
you're an
shop. So
entertainer.
There's way more interaction and it's way more. It's not quite as cut and dry as the rest of the areas.
Yeah, well, plus, where else can you go where you can stand before a professional magician and get a trick performed just for you?
Yeah.
I don't know how many magic shops still exist outside the park, but there you can go in, and that's something you can't get anywhere else, as far as I know.
So what was when you started there, you weren't a magician, you didn't know a lot about magic. So what was the process to get you from not knowing anything to being able to perform for guests? Yeah.
Well, I, like I say, I was kind of the outsider. All these other guys were established and they knew their stuff. And, here's this guy, and so I had to kind of bring it out of them. I wanted to learn some stuff. I knew a few little things. But I think the real turning point for me was when they would show me tricks that we didn't sell in the shop. I mean, card tricks with a regular deck where there were no gimmicks, real sleight of hand, and these guys knew how to do this. Now you can learn this on your own, like from reading books, if you've got the patience for it. I didn't. But there was one guy in particular named Mark Neighbor, and he was like the wizard. He was very serious about it. This wasn't something you toyed with. He's deadly serious, but his technical skills were right on the money. He knew exactly what to do. And he was the guy that really showed me the heavy duty stuff. And that's how I learned that was through him. There were, and it's funny, the other main characters in this book, who are one was Ken Neufeld, who actually was not a Magic Castle member, but he's for some reason he always drew the biggest crowds. He was so funny and he was so great, and his magic wasn't anything really outstanding, but that didn't matter, and that's part of the fun of being entertained through magic is that you not necessarily have to dazzle people. It doesn't have to be really a sophisticated trick for people to enjoy it. And there were two other guys, Chuck Lucas and Jim Everett, who I describe in the book as kind of like Laurel and Hardy. There were like two of them, you never saw one without the other kind of a thing. And they were hilarious. They did the really funny stuff. So all of these guys kind of contributed to what I was able to pick up on. Some of them taught me specific things, and others I just kind of stole from them.
How fun. So, like, on average, because I enjoy magic. I've never learned magic at all, so I have no idea how long the process takes to become a magician and to understand these tricks, to be able to pull them off, especially in a very close situation, because you can't really get away with too much when somebody's just across the counter from you.
Yeah.
So how long was this learning process for you?
Well, it's it's like everything else. You have to just practice it. You learn the procedure, you learn the sleight of hand, and then you go in and you just try to master it on your own time. And in the process, you mess up quite a bit. You kind of make a fool of yourself to the guests, as it were. And then you just kind of work through that, and over time you get better at it.
That's why it's also a joke shop, so you can like roll with it as haha.
Well, I think as far as my interaction with people that do magic is, it's as much a performance as it is doing the things of sleight of hand and stuff. Because there's lots of people who could do sleight of hand. Like you said, you just got to practice and practice.
Right.
But if you don't have the personality and that level of charisma and entertainment to yourself, people, whatever. And like you said, when you make mistakes, if you have the charisma and you kind of play it off or whatever, people are more forgiving than if you're just like, oh, screwed that one up.
Yeah. Well, this was kind of an interesting time in magic. And as I mentioned earlier, I did become a Magic Castle member.
Yeah.
And was able to go there and watch all these, because it wasn't just a place to go to drink and hang out. They had like all these different showrooms.
That's incredible.
And they had like the key people, and you could go in there for free as a member and sit in and observe these guys. That was part of my education. And what I started to see happen over time, where typically you try to dazzle your audience, you'd be up there doing stage magic and you'd have your lovely assistant, to distract the audience while you're doing something else. That's, I think, the only reason they were there. But over time, what I began to see was how people worked comedy into it. Mm-hmm. And I thought, well, it doesn't really matter that you're fooling people, or that you know the secret, and I know the secret and you don't, and you can't figure out, and I'm not going to tell you how I did it. Once you learn the secret, if you're working the comedy into it, it really doesn't matter. Mm-hmm. One of the early guys that I saw at the castle was Harry Anderson.
Oh,
and most people remember him from the Night Court TV series. And this was before all of that. He did magic and comedy. And what he did was kind of blend the magic thing and stand-up into one. And it was the first time I'd seen that. And I go, okay, now I get it. You don't. And as I mentioned, guys like Ken Neufeld, who would not dazzle anybody with his sleight of hand, but was hilarious to watch. So, you tell me which is better, so you can work, like I mentioned, Mark Nynaber, who would just, study this stuff and perfect it. Mm-hmm. There's that approach. And then there's the one where just do your best, do something that's not that complicated. And you can go over just as well if you can work some comedy into it, get people laughing. And of course, squirting them with mustard doesn't hurt either.
Now,
many tricks went in with somebody getting squirted or shocked, squirted with some type of liquid.
Well, that sounds like fun. So part of the job right there was, you obviously at the magic shop, you would sell these tricks, and I'm sure there's instructions on how to do all these things. So part of the thing was probably showing people kind of how the trick was done. Is that right?
Yeah, well, that's kind of a touchy subject because technically, every trick would come with instructions, and you can read those. Unfortunately, some of the instructions are more like trying to read ancient hieroglyphics. They're impossible to understand. And so if they want, I'll show them how to do it. We try to kind of keep that a secret because we're not supposed to be revealing the secret to the tricks to everyone. Mm-hmm. So we would sometimes take them aside. But I discovered that a lot of times if you revealed a secret to them, it was actually more enjoyable. In other words, they're going, oh, how are they going to do it? And you want to leave them mystified as they leave. But if you show them, they go, hey, wow. That actually got them to smile a little bit more. So, and that way they kind of felt part of the trick, the more of a participant.
Yeah.
So that worked. But yeah, in answer to your question, we didn't necessarily show them how to do it. They would try to figure it out on their own. And if they couldn't, they would come back. Then we'll give them a helping hand.
Because that's one thing that I've always liked. And I know magicians in their, the mystical ways is one of the things is that, if you share secrets and stuff or share tricks and stuff together, like it's one of those things like you just don't tell people how it's done or whatever. Right. Two of my favorite magicians are actually Penn and Teller. I don't know if you've ever seen any of them. Oh, I like them because they will show you how some of the tricks are done, and then they'll like put a spin on it because they'll be like, "Here's how it's done," and then they'll like throw in a different part, and you're like, "Oh, they showed me how that was done, but now they just took it to a whole other level and did something even cooler." So I like that because I always try to figure out how things are done. And actually, they have a couple different shows. They have a show called Fool Me or Fool Us, which they have to, like magicians and stuff come on and they guess how it was done. Mm-hmm. And if they can fool the people, they like win like a trophy or money or something. Well, I always like that.
Here's another reason why that's okay to do these days, because when I was in the magic shop in the 70s, we didn't have cell phones. We didn't have social media.
Yep.
And so you could kind of keep that secret, and no one really, would know unless you told them. Mm-hmm. But these days you go in there and you do a trick, and someone in the back of the room on their iPhone already knows how you're doing it before you're done.
That's true.
Basically, that's the way it is. Okay. So you're not really keeping any secrets from anyone, because anyone, and I confess, I've done that from time to time. I'll see something and should I Google this? I don't know. I feel kind of guilty. But I have done that, and anyone else can do it too. So in a way, I think that's why you see this proliferation of the comic magicians and some of the people like Penn and Teller, where the comedy is right up there level with the magic.
Yeah.
Because that's what people like. Mm-hmm. I think that most people, I think today it's all comedy and magic. You don't see the guys, doing crazy things, sawing women in half, with the idea like nobody's going to be able to figure it out. I don't bother to do that anymore because that information is so readily available now.
Yeah. Or they do like the crazy things, right? You get like the David Copperfields who like make it super dramatic, and it's cheesy almost, like doing it that way. It's like, oh, come on, man. Like,
yeah.
I don't know.
The most
or you can look at it this way, is that we like when he makes an elephant disappear. The elephant didn't vanish into thin air.
Yeah.
Just because I don't know how he did it, doesn't bother me.
Well, he did a big deal like that. Like, I think he had specials. He made the Statue of Liberty disappear one time. He made a aircraft carrier disappear or something. And I'm just like, uh-huh.
Yeah, well, but don't forget, he brought it back after.
Yeah, it came back.
Well, yeah.
You see?
That was the reverse magic trick. Mm-hmm. So, Bruce, when you were in the magic shop working a shift, with it being such a smaller space, how many different magicians would be working at a time? Would it just be 1, 2?
Well, there would always have to be at least one magician in the shop at all times. Yeah, sometimes there were more than one, just depends on how the scheduling worked out. But you always had a magician in there. Now, when I left the magic shop, which was in 1981, that kind of tapered off. We had fewer magicians. who were capable of doing tricks, and probably no Magic Castle members there. And I wasn't there to witness this, but everything that I've read and through my research for the book, people have expressed this disappointment that the magic kind of waned, and the shelves started to fill more with souvenirs. And at one point, that was it. It was a magic shop, but there was no magic being performed there.
Oh, yeah.
It was just a shop. And it wasn't until, I think it was 2009 when Houdini Magic leased the shop. Mm-hmm. And they're going, all right, now we got our magic shop back. But that was like a good 10 years or so that went.
Wow.
I'll tell you, I feel like that's something that I kind of miss about Main Street is that, especially like when it first opened, right? You had it was a like real Main Street. There was a barber. Disney World still has their barber, which is cool.
Really?
You would have like in the 50th anniversary thing, which I want to ask you about, people that have worked in the magic shop that everybody should know. But for the 50th anniversary, they talked about, there was the bra shop and all this stuff. You wouldn't have that today, but it kind of makes it really unique. I mean, I'm surprised some of the things that are there today are still there, like the silhouette shop. I feel like that's something people love it, but at the same time, I can easily see Disney perhaps saying, "Oh, we could make more money if we put more T-shirts in here or something."
Yeah. Well, that's kind of been the trend for a number of years, and we see that working gradually. And some of the stuff that we used to enjoy when we were younger, has gone by the wayside or replaced with something else. So as far as the magic shop is concerned, that kind of follows that same structure. I think they felt that we could sell more souvenirs here because I don't really know. As far as I know, the magic shop didn't make any money. We sold a lot of stuff. Mm-hmm. I never knew, really what the bottom line was for the magic shop as far as profits were concerned.
Sure.
But I think, and I don't know exactly what led to Houdini taking it over, but I think probably there was that underlying outcry. People, we really miss the old magic shop because when I was in there, and you got to remember, between the 70s and 80s was kind of a period of transformation for the park. We had new management coming on board. Michael Eisner was about to take over, and the kind of vibe in the shop and in the park in general kind of went down a little bit, and a lot of us either moved on to something else, either in the company or left Disneyland altogether in that same period. And so the magic shop was one of the ones that I think suffered the consequences of, where we can, what changes can we make to kind of boost the profits a little bit. I mean, I don't know that firsthand, but that's what appears to have happened during then. But again, it's back again. We've got real magicians in there. You can see some magic. And as you're saying, Teresa, you kind of walk past it every time you go there. But it's definitely worth taking a stop by and seeing what it's all about, because you won't see anything like that anywhere else.
Yeah, for sure. So another question I had. So I'd kind of read more about this in your book, but you also touched on how Disney was kind of in your life all the way up until you becoming a cast member there. So being a fan of Walt Disney the Man and Disneyland the Park, what was it like to become a cast member and get kind of a peek behind the curtain? Was that pretty exciting? Was that kind of a letdown? How was that?
No, it was definitely exciting. I don't know anyone that doesn't start work at Disneyland without having been covered with pixie dust, is what we used to say. And they have like this permanent smile on their face. They walk around and they're just as jolly as they could possibly be. And for the old timers, they see these new hires and they go, "Oh, the pixie dust hasn't worn off yet," and realize it's just a job. But as far as my personal life is concerned, I take the book, and I should explain that the genesis of this book was initially just going to be about all the funny things that happened in the magic shop while I was there, and some of the guys that I work with, we still get together every now and again. We do these little mini reunions and meet up, and we tell all these old stories. And the project really began when someone finally said, "Hey, someone should write that down. We should put it in a book, don't you think?" Now, I had already written 7 books, and I'm a fiction writer. I've never written nonfiction. And so I started exploring the possibilities of this thing and started talking with these guys and getting the stories down and making sure everything is accurate. And I started looking for some type of a connection to my own personal life.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't realize, and just like you're asking, Walt Disney was affected me from, I can trace it back to when I was 2 years old.
Yeah.
And believe it or not, my parents took me to see Peter Pan, and it came out in 55. It was somewhere around 53, I think it was. I was 2 years old. They took me in there, and I can't believe I was old enough to be able to understand what was going on. But man, it just, it's like my brain just soaked this whole thing up.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the scenes that I will never forget is the flying scene when Peter Pan and the gang are flying, and they shot that with what they call a multiplane camera, which was an innovation that the Disney company developed, where you have different levels of cells that all move at a different rate, and the camera is shooting down. If you've ever been to the Walt Disney Family Museum in San Francisco, they have one there. It's just like 2 stories tall. Actually, they do. The thing goes up and there's a hole cut in the ceiling, and you go to the next floor to see where the camera is. But to this day, and so I most people when they dream, they have dreams of flying. That's not uncommon.
Mm-hmm.
I have multiplane flying dreams from watching that as a 2-year-old. And to this day, I have what I call my multiplane dreams where I'm flying over. Now, this is like my first introduction to Disney and his films.
Mm-hmm.
And then after that, Disneyland opened in 55, and we went there in 57. And so the book is kind of captures that whole era. I've got my time while I was in Disneyland, and I've got the period beforehand.
Mm-hmm.
And this is what I mean. The research, when I started looking at this, I go, oh my God, this is like the end of the story. I always I was a Disney fan. I wanted to be an animator. Everything was Disney, Disney, Disney. I run home from school every day to catch the Mickey Mouse Club, and I watched all the Zorro episodes. And like I said earlier, working at Disneyland wasn't my priority. But I don't know, call it serendipity or fate or coincidence or something. When I needed Disneyland, I was already there. And for me, it was like, I look at my life as, my life before Disneyland and my life after Disneyland. And that was kind of the separating point where that Disney thing finally came to fruition. All my life absorbing all this Disney stuff. And now I was in the middle of Disneyland where Walt was. And it's mind blowing. And like you say, when you were a new hire there, and if you're not a Disney fan, maybe not so much, but who isn't these days, especially?
Oh, yeah.
So I loved it. It was great. And I still have a little bit of that pixie dust that isn't quite worn off.
So you talked about having your multi-plane dreams. I have to ask, what was it like the first time you rode on the Peter Pan attraction?
Yeah.
This is another thing, man. Now, when I first went to Disneyland in 57, I was 6 years old. And, I've already figured out my age. I was hoping we wouldn't have to go there. But I knew about the Peter Pan ride. Of course, there was the Disneyland TV show where we learned all this stuff beforehand. And exactly. You get on, and to this day, that ride is so simplistic, but yet is so effective for as simple as it is. You go up there, and that was my multiplane dream come true, was to finally ride on Peter Pan. And I'm sure back in 57 it was pretty funky. I mean, I didn't see all the flaws that they probably had. I mean, they've improved it a lot over the years, but it was. I think I multiplane flew that night. Possibly.
Well, if you think about it, I mean, that was an opening day attraction. Of course, they've upgraded it and changed it throughout the years, but it's still like the one of the most popular Fantasyland attractions to this day. Like, people flock to it. It always has a long wait. It's just,
you always see a long line for
crazy.
Peter Pan, and yet here are the other ones like Snow White and Mr. Toad and Pinocchio. Those are all just as good as far as I'm concerned, although you don't get to fly.
Yeah.
You always see that line for Peter Pan. But one of the things I should point out too, in writing the book was once I had all the information and knew where I was going to go with it, I wanted to come up with some type of a theme. because I had written fiction. I wanted to read more like a story than just an account of all the funny things that went on. And I was looking for a quote to have at the beginning of each chapter, which is most people do and always looks good. And I thought, well, there's got to be some Walt Disney quotes that I can put at the beginning of each chapter. And I looked around for that, and I searched, and then I found some that were pretty good. But no, you got to get permission to use them beforehand. Sure. Yeah, okay. And writers know about that. And then the Peter Pan thing. Okay, well, Peter Pan is copyrighted, but he wrote a book. James Barrie wrote a book in, I think it was 1911. Yes, of the stage play, which Peter Pan was originally written for the stage. Mm-hmm. He wrote a novelization of the play, and that is in the public domain.
Oh.
And I go, okay, I can draw from this. And that's where I made the connection. Okay, Peter Pan, The Lost Boys, Neverland. Well, that's the magic shop.
There you go.
We were in Neverland. We were a bunch of, out of control little kids, basically, that got away with whatever we wanted to, just like the Lost Boys were in the story of Peter Pan. And so when I found that tied the whole thing together. I thought, well, that's what the magic was. It was like this kind of island in the middle of the clouds where you could go there and you never had to grow up.
Oh, that's so cool. I like that. I like how that's all connected there. That's very neat.
Mm-hmm.
Very neat.
Once again, we had so much fun talking to Bruce that we will have to split his interview up into 2 different episodes. So tune in next week for the second half of his adventures at the magic shop.
Looks like we're coming in for a landing, gang. But please stay listening until trivia comes to a stop. And then you can walk to the nearest exit. Thanks for listening to the 8th wonder of the world, DLWeekly.
All right, welcome back to Trivia Land. How do you feel like you did tonight?
I feel pretty good, actually. You were right.
I think you did well. I don't think I did well.
Good job, Tig. Clap.
I always appreciate the self high fives. They're beautiful to see. So, it was a good night. You did well, and the listeners did well, submitting good questions, and it was a good night for everybody.
Yeah,
we all did well tonight. So let's see what the results were. So, the first listener submitted question from listener Liberty M. The Tomorrowland stage lasted from 1967 to 1977. What was the name of the show held every Sunday night? The answers that you gave were the Kids of the Kingdom and the Sunday Night Soiree. And the answer that we were looking for was the Country Music Jubilee.
Country music in Tomorrowland?
Oh, man.
That is the answer we were looking for.
Wow.
So, well done, Liberty M.
Dang it, Liberty.
That's surprising. That is very surprising.
Your second listener submitted question from listener Ruben O. With regards to the entire Disneyland resort itself, what is the significance of the number 1313 or 1313? Your answers were, it's the address of the park, including 1313 South Harbor Boulevard, Anaheim, California, 92802. You also said it was Walt's lucky number. You also said that 1313 could be the alphanumeric MM. You forgot to mention that GPS systems needed to route drivers to a place in the park for something. Anyway, yes, you hit every single possibility that we were given for a correct answer. You got that one correct. Yes. All right, your third listener submitted a trivia question from listener Matthew H. Which attraction gives the safety spiel in the most languages? Tag said Small World, and Teresa said the train. The answer we were looking for was It's a Small World.
Good job,
It's a small world after all.
Please keep that in the podcast.
It's a small world after all. It's a small.
Tag, do you know how many different languages total?
Oh, boy.
7?
I was not provided the answer on that one, so I was hoping you knew.
No, I was just pulling it out of the air.
I don't know either. And I feel like that one was actually, may have been a previous question. And it's sticking in my head that it might be 13 total languages.
Oh, that's true.
That's the number that's sticking in my head. But if any listener happens to know that and you'd like to let us know, we'd appreciate it. So your fourth
Apparently, I'm a terrible person and never listened to the safety spiel for It's a Small World.
I don't think that makes you a terrible person. It's roughly the same spiel as you hear on every attraction.
Don't rock the boat.
And your fourth and final listener-submitted question from listener Chris M. The last postcard on the way out of It's a Small World has a message on it. Finish the message. Having fun today, blank, 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 blank.
Oh, we're wrong.
And you
Blank,
said...
blank, blank, blank. We gave him 3 blanks.
I don't know.
At Disneyland USA, which would arguably be 3 blanks. What I was looking for was having fun today, looking forward to tomorrow.
Oh.
You know what? I like yours better. It has a nice ring to it.
And your bonus question of tonight, what queue are you in? Your first clue, you can see Tom Sawyer Island. Second clue, you can hear jazz music. Third clue, you're approaching an old building. And your fourth and final clue, there's a squawking parrot. You are in the queue for Pirates of the Caribbean.
Woo!
Dang, good job, Tig.
Well
You got
done, Tag.
3
Getting
out of 5.
full points for getting it in the first 2.
Yeah, 3 out of 5 right. And here's Teresa with her 1. Thank you to Ruben for giving me the 1 softball so I could have at least 1 correct answer.
Well, listeners, how many correct answers did you get listening at home? How do you feel about how Teresa and Tag did tonight? Do you think you have the perfect question that can really stump them in the future? If you've got that great question, feel free to send that in to us at trivia@dlweekly.net.
We will be back next week with more Disneyland news and information.
So until then, go out and enjoy the parks.
Please remain seated until the podcast comes to a complete stop and the doors have opened. Then collect your belongings, watch your head, and step carefully from the episode. On behalf of all of our crew, thanks for traveling with us. And we hope you have a happy and memorable visit here at DL Weekly.